Yo, what it do, nation? Man, been a minute. I've been traveling, so what's good? Um, Lots of talk going on with the Raiders. Number 6 overall pick. Will they pick a running back? Which everybody says, that's the number one rule, no running back in the first round. But when you look at running backs taken in the first round, 90 something percent of them have all panned out. So I don't see the problem with that. Also, do they trade back? There's been lots of rumors of trading back. Some say trade back twice. I think that was my very first mock draft was a trade back twice. Um, just makes sense, right? SPYTEK loves his picks. Uh, we have plenty of holes to fill to keep this ship afloat. And what better way to keep the ship afloat, right, than to have, a first round, 2 second rounds, 2 third rounds. Just makes more sense to trade back, in my opinion. But SPYTEK made some comments about his son. We'll get into that later on. I want to break down what we have so far. Top 30 visits coming to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know. I can't see the comments, but um, so far we have a guy. It's not a bad choice for a top 30 visit. Will Johnson out of Michigan is number one on this list. Makes all the sense in the world, right? Our owner, minority owner, Brady's. I don't know. Can y'all hear me? Can anybody hear me? Can you see me? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. But um, you know, SPYTEK and Tom Brady both coming from Michigan, so Will Johnson, the cornerback, makes sense. Quinn Ewers, I mean, I don't know what they've seen. Maybe, if he sits for 2 years with Geno Smith being in the building, maybe that's the way they're going. Appreciate you. Um, which makes a little bit of sense. He did have, I thought, one of the better arms in the combine. Um, I haven't watched the pro day yet, or have they had their pro day yet? I don't know. I don't think they have their pro day. But, anyways, next up is Notre Dame Benjamin Morrison, corner. You know, tough, gritty dude, shut down. Um, Good footwork, makes sense to me. A first round pick, probably not. Um, Really, so far, Will Johnson is the only guy you would think about taking at 6. And to me, I mean, at this point with his injuries, that's kind of a reach. Arnie Gaza, salute my guy. Booty Snatcher was good. Appreciate you in the building. Um, but Benjamin Morrison makes sense. Probably third round, second round makes a lot of sense to me. Jalen Walker out of Georgia, linebacker. We all know we need linebackers. I really think Amari Gainer, can take that next step this year. Is he ready? This year, probably not. But he was a UDFA, so you got to give him at least 3 years before you can see, if he is that guy or can be that guy, in my opinion. But if he's the best guy in camp, put him in. But Jalen Walker makes all the sense in the world. I don't know at 6. Now, if you could trade back, there's a lot of people talking about we could trade back with the Cowboys. I think that was one of my very first mock drafts was trade back with the Cowboys. And I don't think they want Ashton Jeanty. I think they would move up and probably get Shador. If Shador's there at 6, I believe the Cowboys would be willing to take that jump. I think Jerry Jones, even with Dak Prescott in the building and what they're paying Dak Prescott, if you could get a Shador, let him sit for 2 years, you know, have him on a rookie deal for another 3 years. If Dak doesn't pan out this year like he did last year, you cut your ties with them, you move on. Um, my thoughts on Tesla and Jackson from Arkansas, bro. I'm an Arkansas guy, so Tesla, a sleeper probably nobody knows about. um, Andrew Armstrong, man, if you haven't watched tape on Andrew Armstrong, I believe this dude is up there with, Tedero McMillan. Now he's not got the hype. He doesn't have the completions. He doesn't have the attempts. Doesn't have none of that. I don't know what he ran. His 40 time wasn't that great, but height wise, you know, breakaway ability, getting open. His routes could probably use a little bit more work and technique. But I'm telling you, Andrew Armstrong is a receiver that if somebody gets him as a UDFA, that dude's gonna make somebody very, very happy, man. He's definitely one of those third down guys. He could play slot. Um, they played him a lot at slot. You could probably put him at X, but he's not that fast. But with his height at 6'4", I mean, the guy's a worker. And with Tesla, you know, Tesla's a beast. He showed at the combine. He showed in the Senior Bowl. The kid can ball. He's a baller. He's all about football. I've seen him live a couple times. The man can play, right? He can get open. Um, he's sneaky fast in my opinion. I think he ran in the 4.4s, which on pads on with the ball in his hand, I think he's even faster. So with his size, his quickness, man, he's gonna be a dog. He's gonna be a dog. Jackson, if you're talking about was it Quindon Jackson, Jaquindon Jackson, running back, the dude's a beast. But he's injury prone. He gets hurt a lot. Now, if he would have stayed healthy at Arkansas, the man could have probably been up there with the McFadden yards and stats. But he's not a Darren McFadden. I mean, maybe if you want to compare him with the injury prone shit, he could be. But he doesn't have, that speed, that quickness. But Jaquindon Jackson is a beast. Now, if you're talking about Landon Jackson is also a dog, bro. Just his size at what 6'6", 6'7". A lot of people for the Raiders are talking about drafting Will Campbell from LSU. Landon Jackson worked Will Campbell, and if you don't believe me, go back and watch the whole game. Don't just watch the highlights because that ain't gonna show you shit. Go back, watch the whole entire game of Arkansas versus LSU. Now, of course, Arkansas got beat, but Landon Jackson was putting that work on Will Campbell constantly. But his size, they say Will Campbell has those short dinosaur arms, which I don't think it matters with his agility and speed. I like Campbell a lot. But Landon Jackson, bro, what man? The dude is nasty. The dude is nasty. With his strength and his size, he's definitely gonna make some noise in the NFL. Also, people are talking about Mimbu from Missouri. Landon Jackson worked that dude too. So, or not Jackson Castle, Landon Castle. What the fuck is his name? Anyway, but back to this shit. So Malik Starks is another dude I'm super high on for them having, a top 30 visit. Makes all the sense in the world to me. I think we're good on safety. We have a lot of young safeties. We don't know what we have in Trey Taylor. We don't know what we have, in Sam Webb. Where he's going to be? Is it going to be a slot outside? Is it going to be a safety, free safety? We don't know where they're going to play him. But I really like Malik Starks, but not near as much as I like Nick Emanwari, bro. Nick Emanwari is just one of those guys that totally fits everything Pete Carroll is trying to do. Everywhere he's went, right? Whether it be USC, whether it be, anywhere. He likes those big corners. Nick Emanwari is that dude. Now, if you could trade back, I seen something, I was talking about earlier a couple months ago that if you could trade back with Dallas and then trade back again, because there's been talk of New Orleans wanting a quarterback, they're not happy with the Carr situation. They're not happy with the quarterback they drafted last year. So, they got a lot of shit going on. Then Cam Ward, which, man, Cam Ward, I thought is a reach, right? Like, you're not trading 3 picks for Cam Ward. I don't know why you'd bring him in the building when you only have, 30 top 30 visits. So to bring in a Cam Ward makes you question, right? Makes you question a lot of things. Are they really that interested in Cam Ward that they would be willing to move up to number one and give up, 3 first rounds and shit, whatever else it would cost? Because they're probably not, Tennessee's probably not moving with just 3 first rounds. But it does make you think. Now, I didn't think Cam Ward was anywhere on their board, but Tennessee's fallen in love with them. Cleveland, there's a couple of teams that have fallen in love with Cam Ward. And it doesn't make sense to waste a top 30 pick. I mean, in my opinion, you don't bring in a guy that you're not, planning on drafting or think you have a shot on. It just doesn't make sense to me. So the Cam Ward thing from Miami, I don't really know about. Will Howard, that's obvious. Ohio State. I mean, Ohio was the quarterback with our offensive lineman Chip Kelly. So Geo Mex was good. So Will Howard makes sense. I've seen mocks where he goes in the third. It's just crazy to me. Even if we trade back and pick up another third-round pick, I just don't see Will Howard being a third-round pick. Like, he's fourth or fifth round to me. But it's just me, and it is a quarterback-needy draft. There is a lot of teams that are going to be reaching, and teams draft very, very bad. So, Will Howard. Then, of course, Ashton Jeanty. Now, the talk around the nation has been Ashton Jeanty. All the mocks draft have Ashton Jeanty. Let's break it down. We'll just stop right there. So we've heard the talks, right? Sure, most of y'all seen the video of SPYTEK's son saying, he wants his father to draft Ashton Jeanty. He even went as far as to walking up to Mark Davis and saying, if his father does not draft Ashton Jeanty at 6th overall or wherever in the first round, does not get Ashton Jeanty, that, he might even leave the family and end up going to whatever team drafts him. Which I know he's making a joke. He's being funny. Everybody's heard this story already before. But my take on it is SPYTEK, why do you bring this up? The draft is 3 weeks away. Everybody has you mocked to Ashton Jeanty. Now you bring up the fact that your son wants you to draft Ashton Jeanty and, make a little joke and go as far as saying, if he doesn't draft Ashton Jeanty, he's running away, blah, 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 however it goes down. But the other fact that he said his son plays fantasy football and he's only worried about touchdowns, not building a program, says a lot, right? Does SPYTEK not believe that Ashton Jeanty is the guy that they need at the moment to help build this franchise, to help turn it around, to change the culture? Is he out on Ashton Jeanty? To me, I would have to say yes at this point. Now, we all know that SPYTEK passed up 2 very, 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 very important pro days. LSU and Ohio State. Now, of course, they sent their scouts. They sent whoever was there. I don't know who all showed up. But they sent their guys to the pro day, right? But the general manager, the GM himself, goes to Boise State's pro day, basically to see Ashton Jeanty. Now, I have a take on this. We all know Pete Carroll is in love with a player like Ashton Jeanty. I've heard, from people I've talked to, think that he is very, very high on Ashton Jeanty and would definitely take him at 6. We know Pete Carroll traded crazy amount of draft capital when he first took over at Seattle to get a player like Marshawn Lynch, who was drafted by Buffalo in the first round. Why trade? There's also been talks that they've tried to trade for I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But anyways, they've tried to trade for a running back, the running back from Seattle, which Pete Carroll drafted. Now, if they're trying to trade for a running back and it's going to cost a lot of draft capital, why not just draft one at 6? Is my theory. It makes all the sense in the world. Ashton Jeanty could be that guy. I'm sure he's going to be that dude for any franchise. But this SPYTEK, show up at the Boise State, with the offense, with the running back guy to evaluate him to see if he's really worth that pick. And I have a feeling that he doesn't believe that Ashton Jeanty is, worth taking at 6. Now, if they trade back, it could be a different story. If you could trade back to 10, I don't believe he's going to be there. I think teams will trade up to get an Ashton Jeanty. It's just there's too many teams that are too close that a running back could totally change their franchise, their playoff chances this year, and fucking even Super Bowl chances. So to me, I think it says a lot. And the fact that he threw out, his son is only interested in fantasy points and fantasy touchdowns and not building a franchise. Why would you bring that up? Now, are you trying to throw teams off? Are you trying to devaluate Ashton Jeanty so you can trade back and him still be there? I mean, let me know your thoughts. What do y'all think about it? Arnie Gonza says, Tashawn Reed, my favorite. Reported, if Geno doesn't get an extension, he will hold out. What is your trust in AOC as the starter and Carter as the backup this year? I don't see Carter Bradley making it to camp. I don't, maybe he makes it to camp. I don't see him making it through camp. I don't see him being on the roster this coming up season. And I have all the confidence in the world. Unlike the rest of the people that just hate on AOC because, he's a tall, goofy white boy, or he can't run, or can't make plays with his can't make plays with his legs, whatever the thing is with Aiden O'Connell, I have all the confidence in the world with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly that AOC would do just fine. I mean, if you want to compare AOC's first year and second year to Geno Smith, there's no comparison. AOC was 10 times better. If you want to compare them to anybody coming out, I mean, anybody they go pick up, it doesn't make sense. And I don't see Geno holding out. It doesn't make sense for him to want to go to the Raiders and play for Pete Carroll. And if it's all about money and he does hold out, do you guys really want him here? I mean, let me know your thoughts. Yes, why for yes, and for no. If it's all about money for Geno Smith and he only came here because he thought, Pete Carroll's going to pay him the biggest contract, I mean, I don't want to do like that in the building. It brings up the question of, the Tedero McMillan situation. The video came out. Was good. I'm not bueno. The video came out of T-Mac saying he doesn't watch film. He only watches film with his teammates. He doesn't want, he doesn't like watching film. He doesn't like watching football in general. Now, I know it was an old video, but I don't care if he was 9 years old or 10 years old or if it was 2 years old. Somebody that doesn't like to watch film, how do you know your opponent? Like, you should, I mean, we don't need guys on the Raiders that are not good. They're going to be another Jamarcus Russell. You send them a blank tape and they say they watched it. We don't need that shit. I want guys that love football, that want to play football, that want to be here. And if Geno just came for a bag, then, move on. I wasn't really big on him, trading a 3rd round pick for the dude anyways. I'd have rather drafted Jackson Dart 6th overall and rocked with that and Aiden O'Connell. But I am not the coach nor the general manager. It's got to be the plan for him to fall. He doesn't want to fall to a team with no bad quarterback. Who, T-Mac? I mean, he played with a pretty bad quarterback in college and had, decent stats, right? 1,300 yards, whatever, not too many touchdowns. Wasn't great in the red zone. I don't know what everybody's thing on T-Mac is. I've never really been big on that dude. But, I don't know. I think there's let me finish this list, but I think there's a lot of players. And again, we'll break them down real quick, for everybody just pulling up. Top 30 visits that the Raiders already have: Will Johnson, Michigan; Quinn Ewers, Texas; Benjamin Morrison, Notre Dame; Jalen Walker, which damn, I really wish they'd get a Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Malik Starks out of Georgia. Nick Emanwari, another guy. If if the Raiders could possibly trade back at a 6 to whatever spot and then trade back again, oh my God, bro. If you can get a second and a first round somehow for the number 6 spot, which I don't see that being crazy at all. I mean, if you look at it, the 49ers traded one, two, three, uno, dos, tres, 3 first round picks for Trey Lance. Not just 3. They also threw in a third. So if a team like the 49ers is willing to move up 9 spots in the NFL draft for a guy like Trey Lance, you don't think there's teams that feel like they're just a Saquon Barkley away from making a playoff run, making it to the playoffs, making a playoff run, away from that type of player that are willing to move up, give up swap first round picks, give up a first and a second next year. I think there's a lot of teams that would be willing to do that, especially with a player like Ashton Jeanty. I mean, again, he's one of a kind. And you could say he's not Barry Sanders. You could say he's not Saquon Barkley. And you're right. He's Ashton fucking Jeanty. That dude is none of those guys. He's done shit that none of them have done. He didn't break Barry Sanders' record, but he was 20 yards away. The dude had 29 touchdowns. He had 19 yards after contact. The dude is absolutely freaking amazing. And they don't come a dime a dozen. Dudes like that don't come every 10, 15 years. Like, it's generational for a reason. That's why they call him generational. Now, some people don't have him as that. Me, I do. But Nick Emanwari, Cam Ward, Jeanty, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Now, a lot of people are big on this dude, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. I think he's a damn good back. Some people have him graded in the first round. I think that's absolutely wild. I don't know. Maybe you need to watch more film, but from what I've seen, I don't know. I see a little bit of stiffness in the hips. I just don't see a first round pick anyway. Now, third, definitely the dude's going to give you production. He's going to be probably 1,000-yard back in the NFL. The next up is Jalen Noel, bro. Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. This kid would be crazy. Could be our X guy. I mean, everybody says we need the X receiver, right? And we have to get one in this draft. Do you take him in the first? Hell no. No. I mean, there are some teams that'll probably take a chance and take this dude in the first round. Some dudes, that might. His size, his speed, the production at Iowa was there. The dude he can get separation. He runs damn good routes. He's fucking amazing in the red zone. I think he was top 5 in the red zone last year in the NFL or in college. Jalen Noel would be a damn good pickup. Now, again, if we could trade back out of that 6 spot and possibly, trade back to 10 or 12 or 9 and then trade back again and get even more draft capital into the later rounds, into the 20s, and you take a chance on a guy like a Jalen Noel or, take your offensive lineman or whoever you want at that spot, take Jackson Dart if you really think that's your quarterback or, because he'll probably be there somewhere in the, from 20 to 30. I think he's going in the first round. I do believe he'll be gone. James Furpo was good, my guy. But Jalen Noel, if you could trade, you trade back and you're getting another second round pick or possibly 2 second round picks and another third because you trade back twice, Jalen Noel is definitely worth taking in the second round, in my opinion. I would take him all day. The kid's going to be a star. Will Campbell is the next guy from LSU. Everybody's questioning the man's arm length. I just don't get. I mean, unless you're a female, I don't think an inch matters, bro. Like it I mean, pause if necessary. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does an inch matter in arm length? I mean, we're pulling cooter hairs here, talking about 30, 30 inch, 32 and three quarters to, whatever the cutoff is at 35 or 33 and three quarter inch arms. Bro, to me, that's it just doesn't make sense. If you look at Campbell, Will Campbell's athleticism, his 40 time, his cone drills, bro, this kid is athletic as hell. And I don't, only in penis, shout out Hawaiian Candy. Um, I don't think an inch matters when it comes to an offensive lineman. Now, I know there's a lot of defensive linemen that are 6'7", that have long, 6 foot wingspan, and that's fine. But this dude is fast. He's quick. He's gonna hit you. He's gonna hit you with one arm. He's gonna hit you with two, or he's gonna hit you with two arms, and then run you out with his other arm, just because of his athleticism. Um, and if you don't, then you move him to guard. But taking him in the first round, moving him to guard is very, very scary in my opinion. I would much rather trade back higher rounds and take a Will Campbell. Dude, Will Campbell. I mean, Gray Zabel is a guy that you could play a center. You could play at both guard positions, which we need very bad. I think is one of our biggest needs. We need to get bigger on the guard position and pause if necessary. But we have to get bigger and stronger and faster at guard. Now, Gray Zabel is a monster, bro. He's got that nastiness. Um, he plays to dominate his opponent. He doesn't lose reps. The guy doesn't give up sacks. You can play him at center. You can play him at left guard, right guard, either tackle position. That's a guy that is more valuable at number one than anybody I could see in this draft. I mean, you could say Travis Hunter plays both sides of the ball. That's very valuable. But to have an offensive lineman that can play any spot, bro, I'm going to take that all day. And if you can get him late in the first rounds and you're traded back and picked up extra draft capital, to me, that just makes all the sense in the world. Charles Grant is a guy that at a William Mary, a small school. I really think if he's there, I don't know what the Raiders value him at. Some people say he could go in the first round. To me, that's crazy because I just don't. I mean, I don't know. For other teams, he could be a tackle, but I don't see the Raiders using him as a tackle just because I've heard SPYTEK say, how he values offensive linemen, how he values the trenches, and how he believes he builds the trenches. And he said he believes, or he builds the trenches by taking the best tackles at smaller schools. Well, William and Mary is a very damn small school. I didn't even know it was a school, so I'm not gonna lie. But William and Mary is a pretty small school. He's definitely the best offensive tackle at a small school. The athleticism, the way he can move from side to side, um, his initial burst, his strength, the footwork, all that shit is pretty impressive. However, SPYTEK said he loves to take those guys and move them inside the guard. Now, if you can get a Charles Grant at guard in the second round, like we got a JPJ, or in the third round, dude, come on, man. How did Powers look last year? I wanted my Bears to take him. JPJ was nasty last year, and he was one of our best offensive linemen. I mean, other than Colton Miller towards the end of the season, the dude is solid. So that's what I'm saying. If we can get another guy like that, like a Gray Zabel, or even a Booker, the Booker from Alabama, I believe it is, at guard, another guy that's just nasty freaking nature. But Charles Grant, I didn't know shit about. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be lying if I said I did. But the highlights that I did watch, I haven't watched no full games like I usually do because, highlights don't tell you shit. I didn't watch no full games, but the highlights I seen, the dude is a monster, bro. He's a road grader. He'd be damn good, at guard or at tackle. Now, is he better than DJ Glaze right now? I don't know. I haven't done yeah, Tyler Booker is nice and barely turned. Yeah, Tyler Booker, I'll get to that in a second, but so Charles Grant is a guy I can definitely see the Raiders drafting. And I've said it all along. You can follow the other channels. You can, follow the hoopla and the bullshit of flopping on every single fucking player that the Raiders are suspected to draft or, is projected in somebody's mock draft. I'm standing my ground, dude, like I always do. Trade back. I think that's the philosophy here. SPYTEK has made so many comments on how he values picks, how he values the trenches. And I just see trading back from that 6th spot. Jack Kendall was good. I see trading back from that 6th spot. Like I've talked about since the beginning, being the best bet. Jeanty would be nice. I would love to have an Ashton Jeanty at 6. And if they feel like that's the spot, cool. Other than that, man, it's just questionable. But the only other linebacker, which I thought is crazy, and maybe they're waiting for other guys' pro days. But Teddy Buchanan at a Cal. Now, I don't know where you're going to draft this dude. 5th round, 4th round. I'm not mad at that, right? I'm not mad at that. But the fact that they're bringing him in says a lot. So to me, this list says a whole lot. It says trade back, right? There's nobody that they're bringing in except for a Cam Ward and Ashton Jeanty. Maybe a Will Campbell. That's a first round prospect. Cam Ward is not even like that's like saying we're gonna get I'll read the comments in a second. It's like saying we're gonna get Jaden Daniels last year. Cam Ward is not even in the talks. So basically, Jalen Walker also could go in the first round. So Will Campbell, my bad. Maybe 4. So there's 4 guys that could possibly go in the first round. But I don't believe any of them are more value of trading back. So that's the list. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And I do believe, hold on, I got to get to it. One more guy. Cam Miller. Cam Miller out of North Dakota State, the quarterback from the Shrine Bowl. I do believe he is also has a top 30 visit, which I thought was very interesting for a guy. I thought he played damn good in the Shrine Bowl. What do we say here? Are you mad at SPYTEK for saying JPJ, Kappa, Meredith, Parham need to compete for both guard spots at center? No, I'm not mad at that because he also said that he's going to bring in competition. Like they're still, they said they're still going to bring in offensive line competition. So I'm not mad at that one bit. I think Meredith could hold that job. I think he could be a starter. If Kappa can go back to the guy that obviously SPYTEK believes he is or was or could be, I'm not mad at that. If the guy wins the job, so be it. For $5 million, you would want him to win the job because we're paying Meredith, 1.4 mil, something ridiculously cheap. We're paying Parham something ridiculously cheap. So in all estimations, you would really want him to win the job, right? If he's the best guy. But just for the price we're paying him, it's not worth paying a guy $5 million to come in and be a teacher on the sidelines, in my opinion. But no, I think somebody will place Parham and Meredith. You're not paying those guys that money to be you're not paying those guys that money to be starters in the NFL. And if you can get those guys to be starters in the NFL at that price, then bro, you stole them, right? It's an absolute steal. So, but the Cam Miller, North Dakota State, could you bring in a Cam Miller at North Dakota State in the later rounds with a Gray Zabel that, protected him, played with them? That would be crazy. Tyler Booker at 21. The film I watched, not even just the film, the game I watched. Who the fuck was it against? I don't remember the game. But the dude was constantly dragging the defensive line 5-10 yards up the field, carrying them to the sidelines, pancaking dude. It was just brutal. It was brutal. And it wasn't just one guy. They were swapping guys in and out, in and out, in and out. And he was just dominating everybody they put in front of him. And it wasn't just that game. There was a couple games. But yeah, Tyler Booker is nasty, bro. Now, are the Raiders willing to use a first-round pick on a guard? I don't believe so. Especially with the way SPYTEK was talking. To me, Charles Grant would be that guy that you'd pick in the second round if he's there. Move him over to guard, let him compete for that spot. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Rebel, other than Ward or Sanders, AOC 12 is better than all the quarterback prospects this year. I mean, he has more NFL experience, right? It takes time for these guys to grow. I mean, just look at CJ Stroud. He came in his rookie year. He had everything around him. It was going good. A lot of those guys left, right? He lost his left tackle. He lost a guard, I do believe. He lost some receivers. So, shit changes. His sophomore year was not his freshman year. Some say he was a sophomore slump. I believe it was the players around him. There's 54 guys on the team for a reason. There's 11 on both sides of the ball. And you need every one of those guys to succeed. Like, unless you're Superman, even Jaden Daniels had a damn good team around him. Now, he did a lot himself with his legs and shit, but I don't know. AOC, passing-wise, reading defense-wise, decision-wise, decisiveness, all that shit, I think is better than all these guys. Yeah. He's been in the league 2 years. I mean, he's got playtime experience, and there's no better experience than hands-on, and he's got that. So I'd put him above those guys, definitely. But that's just me. No, in my opinion, no trades unless it's a deal too good to give up. So let's say Shedeur is there at 6. Say the Raiders don't want Shedeur. Maybe he's not on their board, hypothetically. Say the New Orleans Saints really like Shedeur, or say it's Jackson Dart. I mean, I've heard that the New Orleans Saints really, really like Jackson Dart, and the Giants. But if he's there in a second, they probably take him. They're not taking him in the first. But hypothetically, say Shedeur's there at 6, and the Saints say, we'll give you the 9th spot. You're only trading back 3. We'll give you a first round, our second, and a 4th or a 5th. I mean, is that an offer you can't give up? I don't see anybody, even Ashton Jeanty, or anybody else, unless maybe a Travis Hunter is there at that spot, which I don't see him being there at 6. But the way the draft falls, it could happen. But to me, I'm trading back all day 3 spots. You're trading back 3 spots. You get a first round next year in case your quarterback this year is not on the board, or, you don't have any faith in these guys being your franchise quarterback down the road. I'm totally trading that pick. To me, it's perfect. To me, it's enough. And then say if you trade back to 9, and maybe Ashton Jeanty is still on the board, and there's a team that really wants Ashton Jeanty, or maybe there's a team that really wants T-Mac, or, any of these players, and they want to trade because they're like, damn, the Raiders traded back once. I mean, come on, if you can get another first round, or another second round and a 3rd, or a 2nd and a 4th, and a pick next year, a 2nd next year. I mean, damn, you're building for the future next year, and you're getting multiple picks this year. To me, it just makes all the sense in the world. They're coming to get you. Yeah. I'm trying to hide, though. I would be okay starting AOC, drafting Sanders at 6, and hoping Geno rescinds and go get Joe Milton. I'm glad you brought up Joe Milton, bro. There's a big possibility, which I don't know why I mean, I do know why. It makes a lot of sense. McDaniels drafted Aiden O'Connell for a reason. He saw something in Aiden O'Connell that he thought he can build, and he could be that dude. Now, do the Patriots say, "Hey, we'll trade you Joe Milton and a fifth round, sixth round, seventh round pick for Aiden O'Connell"? Because Aiden O'Connell was a fourth round pick. Joe Milton was what, seventh round pick? It's not an equal trade. But if they were going to throw something in there because they really wanted Aiden O'Connell to be the backup, for Drake May, I mean, damn, that could very well happen. That could very well happen. But with Aiden O'Connell and his what you're paying him and his skills, I just don't see him going nowhere. The team that will trade or what? I missed something. I'm going back. No, in my opinion, this is a good deal. Give up. The teams that will trade back. I don't know, but I know there's a lot of teams that are farther down that probably want players. I mean, especially if you have a Membu, falling if you trade back to 9 and Membu's sitting there and there's a team like, the Buffalo Bills that could probably use a damn good tackle, young tackle for the future. Even the Bengals could use offensive line help big time. There's a lot of teams that can end up trading back. I think that shit just makes all the sense in the world. Now, of course, it's got to be of the best value because, again, I don't think Nick Emanwari is a guy you trade for. I mean, a guy you draft in the first round. But when it comes to Pete Carroll, we've seen him trade a lot of first-round picks away. And Pete Carroll's first-round picks in Seattle go like this. An offensive guard. Yes, they took a guard in the first round. They took a tackle. They took a safety. And they took a defensive end in the first round. The rest of the picks in Seattle's, his tenure in Seattle, they traded away because some of those picks they traded up to get Marshawn Lynch. They also traded a bunch of first-round picks, I do believe, at least 2, to go get Jimmy Graham. So Pete Carroll is not afraid of trading picks away. And I think that's why SPYTEK said he has to remind Pete Carroll how much he values picks. Now, Pete Carroll obviously don't value those first-round picks, second-round picks as much as SPYTEK. So that's going to be very interesting to see how the draft pans out, if we do trade up. But with SPYTEK being the general manager, being Brady's, buddy, being close to Brady or getting close to Brady or whatever, having that, relationship with Brady for a long time, being the GM, having the final say, I just see us trading back. It just makes sense. Cowboys, Niners, Bears have nice first and second rounds worth trading back for. A lot. I mean, the Bears, I heard, really want Ashton Jeanty. They have, a decent young back now. It makes all the sense for a Ben Johnson to go get the top back in the draft unless he sees, somebody. And they have nice picks, right? They have the 10th pick the 10th pick, I think, somewhere in there in the first round, also in the second round. I think they have a couple third or fourth round picks that, they could be willing to throw in there. We've seen the Bears trade lots of picks in the first round the last couple years, move around. I wouldn't put it past the Bears, especially with a new coach, to go try to get that dude right off the bat if they think Ashton Jeanty's that guy, or maybe it's a Marion Hampton, or, maybe they don't want to take a chance on Judkins falling to the second round and somebody goes up and gets that dude. I mean, shit, I would. Again, you have to look at the 49ers. Now, do the 49ers, what do they need? They have a tackle that's coming of age. He's getting up there, right? Do they go get a tackle for the future? Do they go get a Will Campbell? Do they go get a Membu? Do they like a guy like Gray Zabel? Do they like a Charles Grant? Do they like Simmons? There's a lot of tackles in this draft that they could like, and try to trade up for it. And the 49ers, we've seen, have made horrible, horrible decisions when it comes to trading up. I do believe, didn't they trade up for McCaffrey? Fuck, it's getting cold as hell out here. It's not supposed to be this cold in the desert. Son of a bitch. But I think they traded up for McCaffrey too. I might be wrong, but trying to lose this shit. But anyways, they made a ridiculous trade for Trey Lance, who a lot of people said wasn't a first round pick. Now they have the Purdy situation going on. Do they go try to get a quarterback? Do they go try to get somebody to protect him? McCaffrey's been hurt as of late. He's been in the NFL for a little bit now. That shit takes a beating. Oh, no, the Panthers drafted McCaffrey. What am I thinking? But they traded a lot to get McCaffrey is what I'm saying. Wasn't it a couple first rounds? So, yeah, you have the Niners, you have the Cowboys, you have the Bears. The Saints, I don't know what the Saints picks are. But I do know that they have a first round this year and a first round next year. And I think they pick ninths or some shit this year. I'd be willing to trade back 3 spots and pick up a first round next year if they really think Shador or Jackson Dart is their guy. And, maybe it's a tackle for them also as well. Rebel, who is your most overrated quarterback in the draft? Who is your most underrated quarterback in the draft? I think a lot of these quarterbacks are underrated. I mean, Tyler Shuck, Kyle McCord, fucking even the dude out of the hell was I saying? The dude we just brought in that was in Cam Miller. Athletic as hell, can throw the ball in the run, pretty accurate, has a pretty strong arm. I think a lot of these quarterbacks are being overrated and underrated and overlooked. If you look at their Senior Bowl, if you look at the combine, a lot of these guys showed they can play ball. Now, are they franchise quarterbacks? I don't know, but could they be groomed to be? Hell yeah! Especially when you're in college football for 6 years, you're 25 years old. When you have 6 years college experience, you've seen every defense they could possibly throw at you. You have way more snaps than most guys coming out getting drafted in the first round. The most overrated, Cam Ward. To me, it's Cam Ward. I don't see it with Cam Ward. I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing, bro. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old. Maybe I don't know. I just don't see what everybody sees in Cam Ward. But you have to look at Tennessee's position, right? Tennessee, they have the first overall pick. They have a second-year coach. They have a new GM. They drafted a quarterback, that they don't like. Maybe they, it's time to go get their quarterback. But when you got a chance to get Abdul Carter or Will Howe, Travis Hunter, I just don't see taking Cam Ward. So to me, I think Cam is way overrated. I think he's like maybe the top 13th, 17th prospect in this draft to me. So at 1 is crazy, bro. In the top 10, I could see him going, Shador going. I could even see Jackson Dart going in the top 10 if teams were smart. Like if you watch that dude's film, him and Cam Ward is not much difference at all, except for Cam Ward takes a way more chances, and you're going to have to deal with the guy, having growing pains in the NFL because some of those balls he tries to throw in college is not going to work against these DBs or safeties in the NFL. So again, I'm just a fan. I don't know shit about football, but to me, it's Cam Ward. I don't see the hype on this dude. If he was in last year's draft, would he go maybe above Penix? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't. I was big on Bo Nix last year. I thought with his experience, the system he played in, I thought he was going to be a damn good quarterback in the NFL. Would I draft Cam Ward? Over Bo Nix? No. Would I draft Cam Ward over JJ McCarthy? Probably not. Like, probably not. Just because JJ McCarthy's, 20 years old. He played for Jim Harbaugh. Like, I mean, I don't know. So Cam Ward, most underrated. It's Riley Leonard. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Riley Leonard, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because, he's constantly talking about his faith. I don't know what the hell people do not see in Riley Leonard. He can make all the throws. He's going to pick up first downs with his legs. He's not going to go down after the first guy, which is rare for a quarterback. He's got that Josh Allen instinct in him. It's Riley Leonard, dude, all day long. I don't even have to think about that shit. My 2 cents was good. Appreciate you pulling up in the building. How far behind am I? 10th, 39th, 41, 72 are a fourth, no fourth rounder. Is that for the Cowboys? Forgot who we were talking about. I got to be honest. I hope Carson Beck has a Heisman type year because I was all in for him. What you doing, baby girl? My eyes would be locked in him for next year if we got Jeanty and start AOC for a year to rebuild 23. Carson Beck scares me, bro. I don't see him leaving Georgia and going to a team like Miami. That's where he's going, right? And going to Miami and having a better year than he was going to have in Georgia. Like, to me, that makes no sense. Now, I know the kid has a strong arm. He can make plays with his legs. He's not a mobile quarterback. But to me, Carson Beck scares the shit out of me. My 2 cents in the building. Raider Ryan, what's good? What's good? Appreciate you pulling up. F the Saints. Raiders don't owe the Saints nothing. We gave them Carr. Bye-bye. What are you talking about? We don't owe the Saints shit. I never said we owe the Saints anything. Maybe I missed something in the chat. I don't know. Most overrated is Sanders. I think he's kind of underrated. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not a Shador fan. I've never been a Shador fan, and it's not because of his game. His game is there. The fact that he has the athleticism and the acceleration to break away, to get it to escape tackles, and he doesn't. He doesn't. Like, he causes more of the tackles himself. Like 60% of his 50 tackles in college football last year that he got were because himself. He reminds me of Gardner Minshew. Now, take that how you want to, but Gardner Minshew tried to do too much shit with his legs, leave the pocket before it was collapsing. And it cost the Raiders. It cost Gardner Minshew. It cost them a lot of sacks last year. It cost them fumbles. It cost them turnovers. And I see the same thing in Shador. Like, now he will take hits and he gets up. He's a strong, tough dude. He has I think not a strong arm, but he has a solid arm. His accuracy is way up there. It's top of the line. But I don't think he's overrated. I think he's going to be a damn good football player in the NFL if they listen to his father and use him right. Don't try to run RPOs for him or read options where he runs the ball, put a solid offensive line around him where he's not running for his life, because the kid will stand in there and throw the ball. And if you give Shador a better offensive line than he had in Jackson State or Colorado, that kid's going to beat you with his arm. His daddy was one of the best football players ever in the history of the NFL. So, the talent is there. Now, his character, his maturity, all that's going to have to grow. And I think in the right system, it will. And I think he could be that quarterback. But, man, it's going to take a year. He's going to have to, eat that humble pie for a little bit. He's not going to be the guy first year. He's going to have to sit and learn the system. How's he going to take that? Is he going to take it like Trey Lance? We don't know. But I don't think the kid's overrated, man. I think he's got a chance to be damn good. I think his work ethic's there. Desire Mason Graham, but doubtful. He's at 6. Wouldn't be mad if T-Mac or Jeanty were the pick. I'd be pissed if it's T-Mac, bro. I'm going off, dude. I will throw this damn phone on draft day. I will be live. It'll probably be in that pool. But probably I'm out on T-Mac. Way before the video came out, has nothing to do with it. If you don't believe me, go back and watch my videos for the last 2 months. T-Mac is not a first round pick for me. I don't see that shit. I don't see it at all. Way before the Steve Smith comments, way before all that shit, I just never been a fan of T-Mac. Like, if you check him at 6, that's crazy, bro. That would be the biggest mistake. We're talking Hayward Bay all over again. I mean, come on. Do we need another Hayward Bay? Do we really? Now, I'm not comparing his game to him. I'm just saying the pick. In the first round, was Hayward Bay really a first-round pick? In my opinion, no. He was never, ever. And if it wasn't for the size and the speed, there wouldn't have been a but. I mean, come on. Now the dude's saying he don't watch film. He don't watch film unless it's with his teammates. He don't even like watching film. Red flags, red flags, red flags. You do not draft players in the first round in the top 10 if they have any red flags. You do not draft players in the first round from the top 10 to 32 if they have one red flag or more than one red flag. If they have 2 red flags, come on, man. You don't draft them in the first or second. So to me, I don't see it in T-Mac. I think that would be a crazy, crazy reach. You know, Matthew Golden. I mean, I would even take a Savion Williams. Shit, I'd even take Andrew Armstrong before I took T-Mac in this draft. Like, and I know T-Mac didn't have the greatest quarterback and, you know, those 50-50 balls because of his height. He has solid hands. But if you look at his production inside the red zone, he's not even in the top 10 in college football. I know he's not in the top 5, but I do not believe he's in the top 10. And when you're that big and you're projected to be a number 1 pick and go in the top 5 or 6 in the NFL, and you're not a threat in the red zone at that size, bro, that's a red flag to me. If you say you don't like film, whether it was this year, 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, and you don't like watching film, that's a second red flag to me. But, you know, like I said, Jalen Royals, Savion Williams, there's a lot of receivers in this draft that I would take in the 3rd round, 2nd round before I took anybody in the 1st round in this draft. I just don't see anybody being, you know, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. I see some of those guys maybe being that, but taking them in the 1st round is crazy, crazy. Sanders reminds me of Tebow, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, not worth the 1st round. So Tebow was a running quarterback, kind of like they try to pin Bradley Leonard to be. He never really had great accuracy. I don't know about that comparison to Brady Quinn shit. It's funny. Now, Brady Quinn was projected to be that dude. He slipped. Cleveland traded up to get him, and it was a huge mistake. Now, Shador could be that. Shador could definitely be that, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. Now, if he goes to a city, you know, or a team that's trash, doesn't have a good quarterback coach, doesn't have a good head coach, then I could see that happening. I could see him, you know, being worth that. But man, as much as I don't like Shador, I think he's 1st round worthy. If maybe not, I don't know. I believe he's 1st round worthy. Definitely. If you're a team like Cleveland, if you're a team like the Giants, how could you not take that kid? Like, how could you not? You'd be crazy not to. But I also think Jackson Dart is a 1st round, and people kill me that too. Like this combo. Take back as they're with what? What? I can't read that shit. Trade back. I'm gonna try to pick it apart. Trade back as if there's offers, but not too far. Draft Campbell 1st. Snag Caleb Johnson in the 2nd. I mean, if you're trading back, I'm not trading back and taking Campbell. If I'm trading back, I'm trading back far as I can, like into the 20s, and taking a guy like Gray Zabel that just he could play every spot. He has the size, he has the arm length, he has the athleticism, he has the tenacity, he has that that Jim Otto type offensive line that dude. We need those dudes, those JPJ dudes. Campbell. I don't, he's mean, bro. I'm not gonna lie. He's mean. He's athletic. He's fast. He's very mobile for his size. I'm not concerned about the arm length like most guys, but I'm not taking him in the first. Not at six. Not at six. I just don't think SPYTEK will take any of these guys in the first round at six, unless it's Jeanty or I don't know who else they would pick really at that spot. If they don't take Jeanty, I really believe they're trading back. Now they might take a Will Johnson just because of the Michigan ties, and maybe Brady thinks that's the dude. I don't know, but they could also take the dude from Texas. What the fuck's his name? Damn, I can't think of Jaden, whatever the hell his name is. That corner is another guy that's a beast, and it just all depends on if Pete Carroll could convince SPYTEK, to follow his plan, his fucking layout, his blueprint of building teams and making winning teams. Now, if they can get on the same page, dude, this draft can go anywhere. But I like Caleb Johnson. In the second, I would much rather take Judkins. A lot of people like Travion Henderson. I just think Quinshawn Judkins reminds me of that Marshawn Lynch. He's going to drag guys. He's going to run through guys. He's pretty athletic. He can catch out of the backfield. He can block. He can pass pro. I like Judkins. I think he would help this offense because he already knows the offense. He doesn't know the terminology. He'd have to learn that with everybody else because, in the NFL, you're going to change the terminology. But Chip Kelly already says he's not changing that shit too much. He's running the same shit. He's pretty much ran everywhere he goes, with the little tweaks here and there. And I think Judkins would definitely help, the rest of the offense, even though the backs and the quarterbacks, learn the system a little bit faster. But I wouldn't be mad at Caleb Johnson. If Sanders is worthy of number 6 or higher, no, I'm not taking him at 6. I mean, it depends on how much you need a quarterback. And if you have a team like the Giants who need a quarterback, who, went and got 2 veterans, and you could take Shador at 3 or 4, whatever they're picking, and let him sit for 2 years, that dude's going to be a damn good quarterback. It just all depends on, Jahad Barron. I like him too. Jahade, how do you say that? Jahade? Yeah, that kid's a dog, bro. I'll get to that in a minute. But I don't feel. I mean, I would take Jackson Dart before I took Sanders. Just his mobility, his athleticism. If you look at the stats, touchdowns over 20 yards, Jackson Dart is like 10 ahead of Cam Ward and Shador Sanders and the rest of the college quarterbacks last year. If you look at big plays over 10 yards, he's way above all those guys. If you look at touchdowns or big plays over 20 yards, he's ahead of both of those guys. So if you look at accuracy over 20 yards for big plays, touchdowns, Jackson Dart's way ahead of both of those guys. I would take Jackson Dart, dude. I'm a big Jackson Dart fan. Jahad Barron, that's the kid out of Texas. Now, that dude has went up against Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, who was in Texas last year, Worthy. Worthy. So, dude, Jahad Barron has played against 3 of the fastest dude. Okay, I guess Isaiah Bond didn't run what he said he was going to run, but he's pretty fucking damn fast. But him at least two. The last 3 or 4 receivers he's had to practice against every single day that he's been at Texas are fast, bro. Fast. So this dude can cover fast guys. He's the best. He's the best corner out of all these corners, including Will Campbell or Will Johnson and Travis Hunter. When it comes to zone coverage, Jahade is by far better than all of them dudes. So, man, I don't know about 6. That's crazy. But again, if you could trade back with one of these teams that want to move up, or if you could trade back twice, that is the goal, dude. If you could trade back twice and get picks for this year and next year, possibly first round somehow out of the 6th round pick, get a first this year, swap picks, get a first next year and a second or a third, and then trade back again. This team is a playoff team, bro. Just like that, just like the Washington Commanders did, just like the Houston Texans did, just like all these teams have turned their franchises around by taking 2 picks in the first round or trading up and getting your guys that you want in the first and second and getting picks for the next the following year. So trading back, I mean, look what it did for the Texans moving. Look what it did for Chicago. Look what it's done. For a lot of teams. So I mean, to me, it makes all the sense. Jahad would be worth 12th or 5th pick. It's been a long time since we took a corner in the first round. I mean, a long time. What was it? Namde Asamoah? I don't remember. I think it was one after that. But corners in the first round, it's been a minute. We need a shutdown guy. We have a dude over there in Jacorian Bennett that can be that shutdown guy, right? He's he came along decent in his rookie year. He came along good last year till he got hurt. And I think Jacorian could be that shutdown dude he was last year. And we go get a killer, shutdown guy like a Jahade Barron. Come on, man. Like that all day I'm on that. So, well, the Cowboys pick 12th. If the Cowboys really want Jeanty, or I really see them somehow, just because Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones, going after T-Mac. That seems like a guy that, that's the big hype receiver that everybody's talking about. He's going to go get him. That's just what Jerry Jones does. That's what I've seen over the years. If there's somebody that's hyped at a position they need, he's going to make the move. He's going to go get his guy. So that might be their guy. Maybe they want another offensive lineman to trying to help out Dak Prescott because he could use all the help he could get up there. So I could see the Cowboys, trading up to 6th and going and get their guy. Again, I could see the Cowboys. I could see the Rams maybe not moving up to 6th, but, it's a very big possibility. Matthew Stafford had problems last year. If you look at a kid like a Jackson Dart, I don't know if they'd be willing to trade up to 6th. That's probably not a guy, something that Sean McVay would do, or their GM in the Rams. But it's a very big possibility. I mean, they moved up to get Jared Verse last year, right, in the first round. Didn't they make some crazy ass trades last year to move up to Jared Verse, or was he already? It was at their pick. Well, I think they moved up to get him. It turned out to be a damn good pick. So when you got Matthew Stafford, on the ropes, you don't know how long he's going to be a Ram. Do the Rams move up and try to take a Shador Sanders or a Jackson Dart or a Tyler Shuck, who's getting a lot of buzz in the NFL right now? I can see that shit happening. I could definitely see that happening. What else I want? So I wanted to break down Kansas City's top 30 visits because I think it really has to do a lot with this franchise. Now, if you look at Kansas City, their top 30 visits are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Out of those 8, 7 of them are offensive linemen, bro. Offensive linemen. And none of them are guys we have on our list. So Anthony Belton out of NC State. They have Mose Vaveo out of Fresno State. Esau Pohl out of Washington State. I don't even know who any of these dudes are. Bryce Cabelju out of Kansas. Gerard Christian, I don't know, at Oregon State. Caleb Eantine out of BYU. And Ariani Ezra out of Missouri. Now, why do I think that's important? Because Kansas City always finds these dudes later in the rounds, kind of like we did with DJ Glaze. I guess it was only a third-round pick. But they're constantly, the last couple of years, been picking late, 32nd, 31, 30. And they seem to always find these offensive linemen. So look for some of these names on this list to possibly be in the building just for us to bring them in and be like, man, what did they see that we're not seeing, and some of these scouts. Also, like I said, the Denver Broncos. So the Denver Broncos have brought in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or haven't brought in. They have scheduled visits for 8 dudes. Running back Quinshawn Judkins. We cannot let Quinshawn Judkins go to the Denver Donkeys, bro. That is not a possibility. And if you have to move up to get that dude because they really want that kid, which from what I've heard from a lot of people, he is very, very high on their list. And to me, bro, that's insane. That's insane. You cannot let Quinshawn Judkins go to the Denver Donkeys, bro. So Quinshawn Judkins, Bryson Green out of Wisconsin, which is another crazy pickup. And man, if they get that with what they have, Luke McCaffrey, not the fuck, whatever. With the receiver they got last year, bro, that's lights out. A tight end, Kaliki Latu out of Washington. They're also bringing in Cam Miller, which I don't know why the Denver Broncos are bringing in Cam Miller as a top 30 visit when they just drafted Bo Nix, maybe as a backup, but they have Stenham. I think Zach Miller was a free agent this year, so maybe they need another guy. I don't know. But they are also interested in the same quarterback we are. O-line, Trey Whittig, DJ Giddens out of Kansas State, which would be nasty for Sean Payton and the Broncos to pick up that dude. Good night, Miss Angel. Have a good night. Sleep tight. Then tight end Gunnar Helm and running back Jaden Blue out of Texas, which is a dude I really, really like. Jaden Blue ran a nice 40 times, solid all year. Texas running backs seem to something with DBs and Texas running backs. They just all seem to be top of those lists. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And if you look at the Chargers, if I could find them, where the fuck are the Chargers? Their list is ridiculously small, bro. They have 2 visits scheduled. Ahmed Hassan as a Boise State, the outside linebacker, and Jacob Bayer at an Arkansas State. So to me, the Chargers maybe don't know, which way they're going, what way they're trying to go. But yeah, that's not a lot of visits. So Carroll will sweep the Donkeys this year, no doubt. Man, I sure hope so. But if they get Judkins, bro, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be rough. Chiefs have a $5 million quarterback to protect. Raiders shop clearance for our quarterback room. Yeah, but they're getting these offensive linemen in the 5th, 6th round. Like Belt. Who's the guy they just signed? Smith or whatever. Like, they're getting these guys late in rounds and keeping them, developing these guys, keeping them in the building. And we're already talking about, going and getting a Horace Grant. I think I seen something earlier where they were saying some shit about drafting Gray Zabel, Horace Grant, and the guard out of Georgia this year, like that's 3 offensive linemen. What are we gonna do with the guys that we drafted last year and the year before? Like you have to develop these guys and give them a chance. If you just keep drafting guys higher above them, dude, that to me that's stupid. Shit makes no sense at all. Um, but yeah, what else we got? Y'all got any more questions? It's been an hour and 15 minutes. It's fucking 10:30. I'm gonna get off here. I'll pop on again tomorrow. I know I've been lagging. Like I'm still out of town with family and shit. Sleeping on a bunk bed. My back is sore. Yes, I'm whining. No, I'm kidding. But yeah. Other than that, I mean, I don't understand the Quinn Ewers shit. I don't understand the Cam Ward visit. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know, they're bringing in Ashton Jeanty. We know there's been numerous reports that a lot of the building is totally down with Ashton Jeanty. I mean, I don't know. I'm down with Jeanty. I've been saying that picking a running back in the first round is definitely a way to build a franchise. Like it's a way to turn it around, especially when you have 69 yards rushing last year a game, 2.2 yards a carry. You have to do something with that shit. So, yeah, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Thanks to everybody in the building. Hit some likes on the way out. Leave a comment. Appreciate y'all. Much love. Raiders. Peace.